Miss Roy,
Oh,
Huh?
sorry. I was distracted.
I really need you to focus right now. I don't want to be here all night, and I'm sure you don't either.
No. No, I don't.
So, as I was saying, we're trying to ascertain the circumstances of Mr. Cruz's death. Can you tell me how you came to find the body?
I... I was cleaning room 509 when I heard the elevator bell ring. Again and again and again. I thought maybe a child was playing with the doors, so I went out in the corridor, and that's when I saw him. All the blood and...
Why was the elevator bell ringing?
I'm sorry?
You said you heard the elevator bell ring. Why was it ringing? I assume it wasn't a child after all.
Yeah, Mr. Cruz's body was blocking the doors.
Mr. Cruz's body was preventing the doors from closing.
Really? When we found the body, it wasn't that close to the doors.
Oh, the stairs are blocked because of the renovations, so the elevator's the only way out of the 5th floor. I had no choice but to move the body. Just a little.
Ah, so that explains the traces we found. Thank you for clearing that up. So, what did you do after that?
Well, that's when the power cut. So I had to go to the janitor's closet.
To access the fuse box.
Yeah.
Exactly. I changed a few fuses and turned the power back on.
But there's a lock on that box, isn't there? Did you have the key?
No, I had to use an ice pick.
No, I didn't. Only Eugene does. But I thought an ice pick might do the trick, so I went to the ice machine to get one.
You're a size 7, I suppose.
Yes, I am. Why?
What did you see when you went to the ice machine?
There was blood. A lot of it.
Did you touch anything?
Yeah, I did.
I might have touched a few things. Just to figure out what had happened to Mr. Cruz.
Of course you did. Why so many witnesses can't help but compromise the evidence is just beyond me. Anyway, what did you do after restoring the power?
I took the elevator down to the lobby. That's where I called the police.
Do you remember what you said to the operator? The exact words.
No, I'm afraid I don't.
You said, there's a man dead. He's been murdered.
That's possible.
What makes you so sure it was murder?
I mean, technically, yes, it was an assumption.
I just assumed. What with all the blood. It just didn't look like an accident, you know?
I see. Would you say you're an observant person, Miss Roy?
I think I would, yes.
Good. Then maybe you can help me fill in a few details about this case.
I'll do my best.
Let's start with the victim's wife, Marcela Cruz. Apparently, she left in quite a hurry this morning. What can you tell me about her?
Nope. Nope.
I don't really know anything. She just looks like a loving, caring wife.
Really? That's odd, because we learned a lot about Mrs. Cruz when we went through her room. And let's just say that loving, caring wife are not the first words that would come to mind.
Oh?
She's a lesbian, involved in some sordid affair with the guest from room 507, Mrs. Beaumont. Have you ever witnessed them engaging in immoral behavior?
What do
No.
you mean?
I'm asking if you've seen them being, you know, intimate.
No, I haven't. No.
And did you hear them discuss their deviant ways in front of Mrs. Beaumont's son, perhaps? Imagine what kind of effect such perversion can have on a young child.
No, I didn't hear anything.
Did you hear them express their hatred of men? Did they ever talk about using violence against men? Did you hear them speak ill of Mr. Cruz?
Why are you mad?
No, I didn't hear any of that. I'm sorry I can't be of more help.
No, I'm sure you are. But we're not quite done yet, Miss Roy. We've learned from one of your colleagues that the victim had a fight with a guest named Mr. Spade. What can you tell me about him?
I don't know much. Only that he seems nice.
Nice. I wouldn't be so sure.
Oh?
We found out that Mr. Spade is fresh out of a madhouse. When we called the place, they painted quite the picture of him. Did you ever see him display odd behavior in or around the hotel?
No. I mean, we've all got our little quirks, don't we?
Did he seem obsessed with Mrs. Cruz?
A little, maybe, but...
Obsessed enough to kill her husband?
No, nothing like that. We all have our obsessions. Me, for instance. I'm obsessed with celebrities and gossip magazines, and...
You don't seem to understand, Miss Roy. Mr. Spade is not like you and me. He may look like us, but he's not. He's dangerous and needs to be taken off the streets. So tell me, did you ever see him be violent or aggressive?
No.
I didn't.
All right then.
Can I leave now?
Yes, you can. Thank you for your cooperation, Miss Roy. We'll be in touch if we have any more questions.
I don't like lying, but I figured I probably should in order to protect Anne and Marcella. Now what?
Bernard was strangely chipper on the phone. The atmosphere is so different in here. Will it ever feel like it used to? Let's go see what Bernard wants.
Waiting it out. The police are on their way. I think it's the most I can do right now. Hasn't completely undone the knots in my stomach and the tension in my shoulders. But to start, I might as well write a bit. Pass the time until they arrive. Now I know what will happen next. If my hunch is correct, and Hector was indeed murdered, I suppose the police's main priority would be to determine who did it. I'm probably going to have to answer some questions, aren't I? I never imagined I would be sitting in an interrogation room at a police precinct. Precinct? Yes. Precinct. It was like something out of a crime film. The kind of scene you watch and wonder what you would do if you were in the character's place. I did the best I could when answering questions. He seemed content with what I gave him in the end. I hope that's the last time I'll have to deal with that. I suppose there's nothing to do but wait for the outcome in the investigation. It's been tough being alone with my thoughts since the hotel closed 2 days ago. But according to the papers, the police are still investigating and haven't made any charges yet. And just so they take the time to get it right. The last thing this whole ordeal needs is an innocent person put behind bars. Anyway, this morning I got a call from Bernard calling me into the hotel. He sounded surprisingly chipper, cheerful even. I wonder how I'll feel walking to the Clarington again after all that's happened. Detective Lieutenant with Montreal Police. He is about what one would expect from a detective. Stern, straight-headed, tired, always carrying either a mug of coffee or a notebook. He looked he hadn't slept in days, which makes sense with how hard the police have been working themselves trying to round up every last supposed deviant in the city. He's old-fashioned, like a lot of men his age. His assumptions about women, or anyone who isn't like him, for that matter, made clear. I wish he wasn't one of the charged in the investigation in Hennifer's murder. But I'm not sure any of the other detectives would make a difference. Who the heck is Roger? A policeman who escorted me through the precinct when I was called into the interrogation. He seems nice enough. I wish I had more work with him. But I have to remember, I can't get inside everyone's heads.
It'll probably be a while before the hotel reopens. Anne, Marcella, and Paul are all suspects for Hector's murder. Was there anything I could have done to protect them?
Montreal police continue to move forward with the investigation into the tragic death of an American tourist, Hector Cruz. The 32-year-old insurance agent, accompanied by his wife, was enjoying at the Clarington Hotel when his life was tragically cut short on Monday. Though the investigation hasn't yet to conclude, Detective Lieutenant Maurice Tremblay revealed in the press that Mr. Cruz's death has been ruled a murder. Multiple suspects have been apprehended or taken into questioning. One suspect is Paul Morgan, an unmarried Army veteran who stayed at Clarington alone, 2 doors from Mr. Cruz. On Sunday, one day before the murder, Morgan was seen verbally, then physically provoking Mr. Cruz in the hotel lobby. Investigations have revealed that Morgan is a former patient of McCord Psychiatric Hospital in Syracuse, New York. According to hospital personnel, Morgan was admitted for displaying erratic, occasionally aggressive behavior. He was released less than a year ago. Mr. Morgan immediately struck me as strange and unsettling, recalled Bernard Leduc, owner of Clarington. I was the most vocal in my desire to eject him from the hotel as soon as possible, and I took great strides to make it happen. Although no formal charges have been filed yet, the incident has led to an increased interest in the movement against the planned construction of the Ray of Light Psychiatric Hospital. In a strange twist of fate, if construction is sanctioned, the hospital is to be located just down the street from the hotel. The victim's wife, Marcella Cruz, is also considered a person of interest by the police. Mrs. Cruz, absent following the discovery of Mr. Cruz's body, was seen as a conspicuous and suspicious, said Detective Lieutenant, adding that further evidence suggests that Mrs. Cruz is involved in a homosexual affair. Mrs. Cruz was apprehended by policemen at the Gare Centrale de Montreal. She was in the company of another Clarington guest, one Anne Bursey, whom police suspect is the woman with whom Mrs. Cruz engaged in sexual deviancy. Mrs. Bursey, a resident of Montreal, is a housewife pursuing a divorce from her husband, Louis Bursey. She and her 9-year-old son, Michael, eluded Mr. Bursey by occupying a room in the hotel for over a month. In an interview with a Montrealer, Mr. Bursey deplored his wife as a penchant for melodrama and urged her to cease poisoning their son's mind. Mr. Bursey was frank about his wife's history of poor decision-making, including making frequent late-night visits to the White Cat. The White Cat is one of the city's many underground bars and meeting spots known to attract sexual deviants such as Mrs. Cruz and Mrs. Bursey. Yesterday evening, Montreal police promised more raids to counter the growing number of such establishments. Continue on page 5. Shit. I was hoping I was protecting them, but apparently not.
Without Eugene, the lobby will be a swimming pool by the end of the month. Will the rest of the building even be standing? I'll need a mop to clean the puddle. With all the leaks, I'm sure there's one nearby.
Alright, so do I go upstairs?
I'm not going back up there.
Okay, well where do I get a mop? Oh, here it is. What did I do wrong?
I have
Probably
to clean
snooping.
the puddle by Bernard's office.
I tried putting everything back.
Probably in his lair.
Tried putting back everything as it was.
Hell.
Beth,
Hey,
are you okay?
I'm out of a job. But other than that, yeah, everything's just peachy.
What? No,
I hope you're luckier than I am. Come join me when he's done with you, all right? I'll be questioning my life choices on the mezzanine.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
So, Bernard, why were you so chipper?
Ah, Miss Roy. Come in. I suppose you know why you're here?
No.
I'm not sure, actually. Your phone call was a bit vague.
Yes, well, I prefer to have this conversation in person. We've been getting a lot of press lately, and not the good kind. I wouldn't expect you to understand the position I'm in, but I assure you, it's quite uncomfortable. To have one's life's work blown away like that. All thanks to some sexual deviance and a nut job. It's obvious to me now that I haven't been firm enough. For guests of such morals to be comfortable booking a few nights here and committing such a horrid act? Now, things need to change. This means elevating our standards to the highest possible level, and it starts with the people working here. It starts with you.
Me?
Me?
Yes. From what I've heard, you've been quite the exemplary maid lately. Clean rooms, satisfied guests.
I take my job very seriously, sir.
As you should. I had planned to give this month's Employee of the Month title to Wendy, but since she's no longer with us, I'm thinking of giving it to you instead.
Really?
You should know it comes with the responsibility of being a glowing example for other staff members to follow.
Yeah.
Is this something you believe you can do?
If it comes with a reward. Yeah, okay.
Would it come with a reward?
I see you're a pragmatist. Yes, it would.
Okay. Then I'll do it.
Good. I expect you to be here on Monday, first thing in the morning. There's a lot of work to be done before the reopening. That'll be all.
Alright.
Hey,
Hey.
what a week.
Yeah. So, what did Bernard want with you?
He offered me the Employee of the Month title.
Good for you, Bean! A shame I won't get to be there when you receive your reward.
I'm so sorry.
Hey, it's not your fault.
I know, but it's so unfair that I get rewarded while you lose your job.
Don't feel bad about it. You deserve it more than I do.
Did Bernard say why he was firing you?
Ugh. He was going on and on about keeping deviants out of the hotel, so I may have lost my cool a little.
A little?
I told him I was one of those deviants he was so afraid of. He froze for a moment, then showed me the door.
What is next for you?
So, what's next for you?
I think I'm done working under Bernard's or Linda's. Maybe it's time I become my own Bernard. Minus the fascism, of course.
Of course.
I could see myself owning my own establishment, one that caters to the right kind of crowd. Believe it or not, I do enjoy the company of people, just not, you know, the stuck-up, entitled clientele of this prestigious hotel. But maybe if I were behind the counter of, say, a bar, instead of a reception desk. I don't know. Is that silly?
No, it's not. In fact, you'd be perfect for it. You're the most charming person I know.
Thank you. I'm really glad we're friends.
Me too.
What do you think will happen to our guests?
What do you think will happen to them?
Who?
Sorry, my mind wanders sometimes. I meant Paul, Anne, and Marcella. Do you think they'll be released?
Yeah, I think so. Paul will probably become a famed photographer. His portrait of you will be hanged at the Louvre, entitled The Inconspicuous Maid. It will sell for billions.
Is that so?
Yeah, and Anne and Marcella will ride into the sunset on the back of two Appaloozas, watching over their newly acquired ranch. They'll be constantly followed by their only sheep. They'll call him Paul, for old time's sake.
What about Michael?
I like that. I just want them to be happy.
Me too.
Was that it? Paul looking at some birds. Lindsay. Marcel and Anne are still locked up. Come on, let him out. Michael is with his dad and a dog. Grand reopening. VIP only. Trophy earned and Employee of the Month. Is that Linda? Another trophy earned. All's well that ends well? Question mark? Well, apparently not. Because Anne and Marcella are still in prison. And Paul. I thought Paul died too. Ugh. What could I have done differently? I mean, there's the obvious. I could have told the whole truth when I was in the interrogation room. Can I do that right now? Okay, well, I'm going to the walkthrough right now.
Do you think it could have been Anne and Marcella?
After opening the room 509 safe and reading the newspaper, we will have already removed all items from rooms 505 and 507 earlier. But we also need to make sure we removed the following items from other areas. In room 509, the letters in the case on the bed, the secret notes on the table, the 5th floor hallway, the diary at the ice machine, the evidence at the corpse. At the reception, we need to get rid of the letter, the railway tickets, and the brochure. So I am supposed to remove things like that because it'll protect Anne and Marcella. A shame I had to go through the walkthrough again just to figure that out. But how could I have known?
forgotten?
No. You know what? Okay.
Yeah. I... I like that too.
That's. That's great.
I don't want to be here all night, and I'm sure you don't either.
No.
Yeah, well, sometimes a police officer has to be here all night. Deal with it.
So, you said you heard the elevator bell ring. Why was it ringing? I assume it wasn't a child after all.
I'm not sure. Malfunction, probably. Technically, yes.
I'm not sure. I guess the doors must have malfunctioned.
A malfunction? Is that something that happens often?
Quite often.
Yes?
Yeah. Eugene, that's our maintenance guy. He has to repair the elevator at least twice a month. We also have a lot of problems with the electricity and the plumbing. It's an old building, you know?
I'll have someone take a look at that elevator. If there was a problem with it, surely they haven't gone around to fixing it yet.
No. No, probably not.
So, what did you do when you found the body?
I checked if he was still alive.
How?
I tried to find his pulse, but there wasn't one.
Is that when you moved the body?
Move the... What do you mean?
We've found evidence that the body first fell inside the elevator, but was then moved out of it.
I must have moved it when I checked his pulse.
Oh, right. Yes, yeah, I must have moved him a bit to check his pulse.
Where on his body did you take his pulse?
His wrist. His left wrist.
Why not his neck?
Well, I couldn't really access it because of the elevator door. I mean,
The elevator doors. See, now I'm confused. If the body was still inside the elevator when you checked his pulse, then when did you move it?
No, you're right. I checked his wrist first, then moved him out of the elevator to check his neck. I just wanted to make sure, you know?
What did you do after that?
Well, that's when the power cut. So I had to go to the janitor's closet.
To access the fuse box.
Yeah.
Exactly. I changed a few fuses and turned the power back on.
But there's a lock on that box, isn't there? Did you have the key?
No, yeah, this is fine.
No, I didn't. Only Eugene does. But I thought an ice pick might do the trick, so I went to the ice machine to get one.
You're a size 7, I suppose.
Yes, I am. Why?
What did you see when you went to the ice machine?
There was blood. A lot of it.
Did you touch anything?
No, just the ice pick.
No, nothing.
That's weird. It sure looks like someone poked around the crime scene.
Did it?
Oh well. We'll know more once the fingerprint analysis comes in, won't we? So, what did you do after restoring the power?
I took the elevator down to the lobby. That's where I called the police.
Do you remember what you said to the operator? The exact words.
No, I'm afraid I don't.
You said, there's a man dead. He's been murdered.
That's possible.
What makes you so sure it was murder?
I just assumed. What with all the blood. It just didn't look like an accident, you know?
I see. Would you say you're an observant person, Miss Roy?
I think I would, yes.
Good. Then maybe you can help me fill in a few details about this case.
I'll do my best.
Let's start with the victim's wife, Marcela Cruz. Apparently, she left in quite a hurry this morning. What can you tell me about her?
I don't really know anything. She just looks like a loving, caring wife.
You wouldn't be trying to protect her, would you, Miss Roy? Because now's not the time for misplaced female solidarity.
No, I'm not.
Let's try something else then. We've learned from one of your colleagues that the victim had a fight with a guest named Mr. Spade. What can you tell me about him?
I don't know much. Only that he seems nice.
Does he? It's very odd.
What is...
Both Mr. Spade and Mrs. Cruz are prime suspects in this case, and yet we have very little evidence on either of them. It's almost as if someone has cleaned up after them. I really hope I'm wrong, though. Because if I'm right, that would be obstruction of justice, and the people, or person, responsible could face very serious consequences. But hey, I guess we'll know soon enough.
Right. So now what?
Bernard sounded really dejected on the phone. See
Oh,
what that's about, I guess.
that's different.
Ugh, go to hell.
Beth,
You still got fired?
are you okay?
I'm out of a job. But other than that, yeah, everything's just peachy.
What? No,
I hope
Why
you
does she
lucky
still
with
get
mine.
fired?
Come join me when he's done with you, all right? I'll be questioning my life choices on the mezzanine.
yeah.
It would have to be for a different reason. I mean, the first time I did this, he already seemed dejected.
Oh, right. Come in. So, I suppose you know why you're here?
I'm not sure, actually. Your phone call was a bit vague.
Well, I prefer to have this conversation in person. As you may be aware, the hotel's reputation has taken a solid hit. We've been mocked and ridiculed by the papers. It's truly humiliating. And that's not even the worst of it. With a story like this, guests may not flood through our doors again for a very long time. If ever, I may have no choice but to sell the hotel. Just years of arduous work gone down the drain. Anyway, it's clear now that we're going to have to tighten our belts for at least a couple of months. Which means cutting off dead weight.
I suppose I'm the dead weight.
Yes. I mean, not you specifically, but some of your colleagues certainly are. From what I've heard, you've been quite the exemplary maid lately. Clean rooms, satisfied guests.
I take my job very seriously, sir.
As you should. We'll see for the future, but for now, you'll be allowed to continue working here.
Thank you.
I'm not done. The police have finished their investigation and left a mess on the 5th floor. I want you to clean it up.
You want me to go back there?
Yes, why not?
I found a dead body on that floor. I'm not going back.
I'll make this simple for you. If you don't do it, you're fired.
You can't fire me because I quit. Me. I mean, I'm still interested. What am I going to find if I go back up there? I want to investigate.
Okay. I'll take care of it.
Good. Well, what are you waiting for? Get to work.
Okay, I'm definitely quitting.
Now?
Yes, now. That'll be all.
This guy's an asshole. Oh. I can't investigate? I should have said I quit.
Hey,
I should have quit!
Hey.
what a week.
Yeah. So, what did Bernard want with you?
He wants me to clean the mess on the 5th floor.
What? Unbelievable. Oh, he's such a jerk.
Yeah. I wish I would have stood up to him, but I really need this job.
I
That's
know
point.
you do.
Did Bernard say why he was firing you?
Oh, well, he's been itching to get rid of me ever since he took over from Raymond. Now that he's hell-bent on cutting expenses, it was obvious I would be one of the first to go.
Alright. I know you'll bounce back. You're a strong woman.
I'm not one bit worried about you. I know you'll be just fine.
Yeah, I do have a cat-like ability to land on my feet.
And think of all the good times you'll have away from Bernard.
I'll miss annoying him. He turns into a particular shade of red that only I can get out of him.
Interesting.
But no, you're right. It's time for new challenges. I could see myself owning my own establishment, one that caters to the right kind of crowd. Believe it or not, I do enjoy the company of people, just not, you know, the stuck-up, entitled clientele of this prestigious hotel. But
I think the same can be said for
maybe
most
if
people.
I were behind the counter of, say, a bar instead of a reception desk. I don't know. Is that silly?
No, it's not. In fact, you'd be perfect for it. You're the most charming person I know.
Thank you. I'm really glad you're in my life.
Me too.
Want to go to San Francisco? Oh. Really? Right here? No, we would be seen. People would see. We don't want them to... What if Bernard saw us?
What do you
I'll just
think
ask the same
will happen
question.
to them?
Who?
Sorry, my mind wanders sometimes. I meant Paul, Anne, and Marcella. Do you think they'll be released?
Yeah, I think so. Paul will probably become a famed photographer. His portrait of you will be hanged at the Louvre, entitled The Inconspicuous Maid. It will sell for millions.
Is that so?
Yeah, and Anne and Marcella will ride into the sunset on the back of two Appaloozas, watching over their newly acquired ranch. They'll be constantly followed by their only sheep. They'll call him Paul, for old time's sake.
I like that. I just want them to be happy.
Me too. What's he doing here again?
Let's not make a scene, all right?
A
What?
scene? What the hell's going on?
Beth, it's okay.
I warned you where obstruction of justice would get you, Miss Roy. So here we are. You're under arrest.
What? This is bullshit. You can't do this. Sophie, we'll get you a lawyer. It'll be okay. God.
Because of the fingerprints? Trophy earned, dead end and gone. What else? Trophy earned, method acting. Hey, that's Paul. He became an actor. And he actually visits Lindsay's grave. Trophy earned again. This is California. And look, there's Michael. Is she looking back at Lewis? Aw, look at that. This is the ending I fought for. Bye-bye, Bernard. It's got new management. Okay. Oh! I got another trophy. This is the bed that you made. So now I'm in prison, but, you know, whatever. Oh, and then I got out. Okay. And I ended up with Beth. Nice.
Doesn't seem like I was in there for very long. Was I released on good behavior or something? Why was I released so early?
Now I can tell myself that this was really good. Had some hiccups along the way, because I was being dumb. I wasn't thinking too well. Gotta think harder. But now I'm wondering, what would be different if I went the Andrew route?
I said before, the animation was a little awkward. The character models are a bit strange, but the narrative was really good, and the presentation was really good. You guys should make more. I want to see more games like this. This was a great experience.